Hello, this is a homily for the 23rd Sunday in Ordinary Time, and today we start with a reading from the prophet Ezekiel, where he talks about his own appointment. You, son of man, I have appointed, that's God speaking, appointed watchman for the house of Israel. Fine, he's appointed prophet, but then God says, basically, you're going to carry a message for me, and you will have to basically tell the wicked what is going to happen to them. And if you do not, then I will hold you responsible for his death. Now, already what is developing is something from the very special situation of Ezekiel as one of the major prophets in the Old Testament, but at the same time we are seeing a whole structure of what it means to be a Christian in the church, because we too have to face up to the fact that if we know something is true, we do have to tell those who are wicked. If you warn the wicked and trying to turn them away from their evil, and he refuses, then he shall die, but you shall save yourself. In other words, we are intimately connected with the interchange of truth in this world right now. There's no way to opt out, just as there was no way for Ezekiel to opt out. Now the psalm then becomes much more general. If today you hear his voice, harden not your hearts. Come, let us sing joyfully to the Lord. This is a Lord that is worthy of being listened to, because he is the rock of our salvation. Let us joyfully sing psalms to him. Let us bow down in worship. Let us kneel before, and here's the kicker, the Lord who made us. So the same Lord who made us is the one who is speaking through Ezekiel. Now, we are the people he shepherds. Now we're getting the heavy connection between the psalm and the first reading. The flock he guides. Harden not your hearts as at Meribah, etc., etc., when, of course, the people of Israel grumbled against God, and in fact we have to be very careful that we don't either grumble against God or simply chop his message short, so that, well, I understand a little bit of it, and that I'm safe enough applying in my life because there's no effort involved. But if I have to take the whole of his message, maybe there's going to be a great effort and a great risk. But the risk is, as we saw at the end of the Ezekiel passage, whether we save ourselves or not. In the second reading, Paul is writing to the Romans, and basically he is saying, talking about love, I think this is connected with the first reading in the sense that if we truly love, we can express the truth. Obviously we've got to work out how to express it, but that we have to express it is not in dispute. Love does no evil to the neighbor, hence love is the fulfillment of the law. If we are loving, then we will be passing truth around, and we'll be living the truth ourselves. Then finally, in the gospel, you have Jesus picking up a very specific case about two brothers having a dispute. One goes and tells the other one his fault between you and him alone. If he listens, you have won over your brother. Remember the listening in the first reading and the listening in the second reading, where we have in both cases somebody responding, in the first case actually listening and moving away from their evil ways, and in the second reading actually responding to the love that somebody is expressing towards them. And then he goes through what is essentially a legal case, which I think at least goes back to Deuteronomy, about take one or two others along with you if he doesn't listen, so that every fact may be established. If he refuses to listen, tell the church. If he refuses to listen even to the church, then treat him as you would a Gentile or a tax collector. And this is a really crucial case today, because we do have pastors who are not telling their people that in fact they are doing some things that are seriously, publicly scandalous. And they have to, just as Ezekiel had to. There was no way around it, because the salvation of the pastors depends on it, and the salvation of the one they're speaking to. And if he refuses to listen, treat him as you would a Gentile or a tax collector. Now, at this point, Gentile or tax collector would be a way of labeling somebody who was excluded from the community that was starting to coalesce around Jesus. And then he tells the community, whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven. That summarizes, just in different words, what happened to Ezekiel, and what happens also when people are basically loved and they don't respond to it. If two or three of you agree on earth about anything for which they pray, it shall be granted to them by my heavenly Father. What you have here is religious privilege that is being given, not imposed, that's the wrong word, but gifted to the community. And the community, therefore, is very much like the story of Abraham, where Abraham is given certain privileges simply because he follows the will of God so completely and so faithfully. And then, in Abraham's case, from the fact that Abraham's clan was blessed by God because they were faithful, other people would see that and learn what faithfulness to God actually is. There's an exemplary aspect to this, aside from the blessing aspect. And here you have the same thing. Wherever two or three of you gather together, there I am in the midst. And this I is very important for later parts of the experience of the church. But here it means that this little community has Christ in its center. And that's on one level why the church is always indefectibly holy. But on another level, the church is a blessed community, and other people should be seeing the blessed community. If they're not, we are doing something wrong. Because of our sin, we are obscuring the holiness and the truth of Jesus Christ. Thank you.